Let's start with Passover, and then we'll talk about sacrifices as we are going to go into Parshat Tzav. The word Tzav means command, and the book of Leviticus will focus on sacrifices. And I'd like to share a word about that in a minute. So the Haggadah, we were talking about the dialogue that the telling of the story invites us to do in Torah study. We were discussing that the Sipur, the story, requires the asking of questions. And the Mishnah and the Haggadah will talk about 4 different children. You remember them? One is what's about the wise? What is the question that he asked? Well, he said you, but actually, why do we do these laws? What are these laws for us? And then it changes to the us. There's a collective sense there. The other one is the tam. The wicked is all, what? What is the tam, the simple one, asks, what are these? Like it has a shorter question. And then we have the one who doesn't know how to ask, like silence. And the other one is the wicked. And what's the point about the wicked? Why do you do all this stuff? Like he or she, they exclude themselves from the people, from the community, from the family. And I always like to remind that there is a 5th child that is the one who doesn't even come to the table, the one who is strange, the one who doesn't participate in the conversation. Now, if we thought that the Rasha is the worst one, or the worst situation, not the worst child, the worst situation, they are not bad children. We can talk about that if you want once, but they are not bad children. And in general, they are not bad human beings. The 5th one is in the worst possible scenario, right? He doesn't even come, or she doesn't even come to the table. So we have the one who is wise, the one who is simple, the one who doesn't know how to ask, the one who is Rasha, who is wicked in that moment, and the one who doesn't come to the table, number 5. And one of the things that we do is that we identify these 5 or 4 characters as different individuals. Like we have this tendency, who is the wise one? Oh, that must be actually David. David is wise. Right? Like, or who is the tam? Well, that's Nico. Like who is the simple one? That's Nico. Like so, we have like that kind of natural tendency to put stickers in people's heads. And I think that one of the interesting things that we can do is to take all of them and to put them in our head. And to try to think about the dialogues and the dialogues in which we are participating, the stories that we are telling. And try to think about where are we, the wise, where are we, the simple one, where our questions are falling short. What are the situations in life in which we don't even know what to ask? What are the situations in life in which we are saying, it's not about me, and we do that with a sense of anger and exclusion? What are the situations that we are not even showing up to a table to engage in the conversation? What are the places in which we are absent? And I think that when we revert the thinking about the 4 children or the 5 children, they become very meaningful, because every single one of us is the wise in certain situations. And the purpose of being the wise is to be able to share, and to be willing to share, and to participate. Every single one of us falls short in her questions at times. Every single one of us doesn't know what to ask or how to talk about certain things and remain silent. in front of situations that might be overwhelming to us. Every single one of us have shortcomings and sometimes exclude herself, himself from the community or from the family. And every single one of us also is absent from certain conversations, from certain places. And I think that the 5 children can be a call to action, a call to share, a call to ask more, a call to share and to say, I don't know how to ask, a call to challenge our anger and our shortcomings, and a call to show up to the places in which we have been absent. That's about Pesach. So today when you read about the children, I don't know what your Seder is like. Mine is a ton of noise and people screaming. There's not a ton of space for deep reflection, maybe when my children grow up. But like, until then, we do the best we can. But we're going to read that anyway. And again, I don't know if your Seder will have lots of noise, will be very reflective. If you have children, don't push it. No, I mean that. That's not the purpose. It doesn't happen then. It's not about who reads more of the Haggadah. It's about the experience. Without the experience, you cannot tell the story or carry the memory. But whether you are going through the Haggadah very quickly or you are very focused and reflective, take a moment and think about this. Maybe not tonight, tomorrow morning, maybe this afternoon. Now about sacrifices. Completely different story. Quick. The book of Leviticus seems to be, as Rabbi Itz Greenberg has expressed that, the opposite to all Jewish theology. Jewish theology is about stories that help us connect with the nature of God, and it's about life. He says that at the center of Jewish theology stands the idea of lechaim, of life, for life. And all of a sudden we have a book, an entire book of the Torah that focuses on sacrifices. And the question, how do we make sense of this? And I want to share a few ideas and quick ideas and conclude that with Passover. We'll mention Rabbi Shachel at the end, who is a student of Rabbi Itz Greenberg. The number one is that the sacrifices that we make, or the idea initially, in terms of the meat that we were supposed to eat, was actually only meat that was sacrificed. We start eating meat only by the time of Noah. By the time of Noah, beforehand, we don't eat meat. Like, there's no recollection of Adam and Eve or previous generations eating meat. We are allowed to eat meat only after the flood, and it looks like more, you know what, whatever, go ahead, do it. It's more of a divine permission. Okay, so you want to push that, do that. But in the days of the Messiah, who was asking about the Messiah earlier today? Jacob. In the days of the Messiah, well, we are supposed to go vegetarian. Because you are supposed to return to a place that is more elevated, to a place in which we don't allow for our shortcomings. And as a matter of fact, the animals that we sacrifice are by definition kosher, because they are meant to be eaten. Now, what is the characteristic or the main characteristic of a kosher animal? There are 2 or 3, but one specific. What? The hooves. Yes, and what else? The chewed cat. What does it mean? They are not predators. They are vegetarian. We eat animals that eat kosher also. That Rabbi Cook Rabbi Cook, the first chief rabbi of Palestine, actually, he spoke about this idea that eating meat, to some extent, is something that brings a more wild side of our humanity, a more violent side of our humanity. And therefore, one of the main rules of kosher eating is, first, there is a ritual. Second, the sacrifice of the animal should happen in a, as much as possible, painless way. And what is the thing that we are forbidden to eat? Blood. Because blood represents what? Life. So even when you are sacrificing an animal, there are certain limitations. The entire idea of kosher eating at the end is that you cannot eat whatever, you cannot do use of whatever, and you cannot do it in whatever way you want or everywhere you want. There is a very, very reductionist approach to that. And what is the story behind that? The story behind that is life. And now, if you are supposed to eat these animals, then those that are there's one sacrifice in which you don't eat anything, but usually they were for the purpose of the Kohen, the priest eating, or the people that were making the sacrifice eating. So, a very important sacrifice is the one of Passover, the Paschal sacrifice. It's the entire story. That's why we put the bone on our keara, in our ser plates. Do you know anything about that sacrifice? For how long you can have that sacrifice? What? So, sacrifices in general, how long can they last? 3 days. Because otherwise they spoil, and Passover just that night. So there's something about also the quantity that you sacrifice. After a certain period of time, you cannot eat it. You cannot keep it in your freezer. But the other component that is about life is that at the end, if you need to eat it in one night, so what's the bottom line? What's supposed to be happening there? You need to invite people. You need to share with other people. You are not supposed to do it on your own. You need to be in dialogue. Dialogue is also a big deal, or a big part of life. And that's what Rabbi Shai teaches. That the beauty of the sacrifice of Passover is that it is obligatory. It obligates you to share it with others. What is the word for sacrifice in Hebrew? Korban. It means, we have said that 1,000 times, so to come near. It means proximity. Korban means to lead karef, to come near. And so, I ask you now, why is the redemptive expectation not to eat meat? Because the ultimate, or according to the Torah of Rabbi Itz Greenberg, the ultimate component of Jewish theology is life. The time of the Messiah is symbol of eternal life, and therefore there is eternal life for humans and also for animals. So our existence should not require the sacrifice of any kind of life. In the meantime, the sacrifices and the book of Leviticus remind us also of the fragility of life. Remind us that life can be sacrificed, and remind us that there are certain limitations for those sacrifices. There should be places, there should be rituals, that not everything is permitted. And that once you get all those things, you better make sure that you share it with other people, because otherwise it's also a waste. And that is, to some extent, the nature of community, places, rituals, and sharing with other people, because otherwise it's a waste.